Hi, everyone. Welcome back to One Tourism World 2026, our global tourism conference. One Tourism World brings together decision makers across tourism, hospitality, travel, destinations, experience design, technology, data, and investment. It's a global platform that accelerates collaboration, surfaces practical insights, and turns relationships into partnerships that strengthen the overall tourism economy. The 2026 Global Tourism Conference convenes this community around the most important priorities shaping the sector right now, including the ever increasing travelers' expectations, operational performance, digital transformation, investment and development, and destination resilience. Our goal is to move beyond commentary and focus on what leaders can implement to drive better outcomes for organizations, travelers, and the places that welcome them. So thank you for joining us here on the One Business World platform for our Global Tourism Conference. And we are happy to welcome back to the platform Yannis Hatzis. He is the president of the Hellenic Hoteliers Federation. He's joining us this afternoon, from Rhodes in Greece. And we're going to have a conversation about the strategic evolution of the Greek tourism and hospitality industry. Good afternoon, Yanni. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Glenn.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure
Thank
to
you
be
for having me.
Yeah, we always look forward to your insights. Hey, maybe just to remind everybody in our audience, why don't you tell us a little bit about the foundation just to get started?
So the Federation is, we represent, protect, and empower the Hellenic hotel industry from policy advocacy to innovation and education. We safeguard our members and elevate the future of tourism with responsibility and strength. So we are uniting Greek hospitality, shaping policy, and driving growth. And that's in Greece, a country that represents 2.5% of the global travel receipts.
That's a lot of receipts.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a lot of receipts.
considering 1.5 billion travelers a year. It is.
Yeah. So I mean, the arrivals are always very impressive, right? I mean, you can measure success lots of different ways, right? Certainly in this industry, right? What do you look to sometimes beyond volume? What other types of things might the country do in order to focus on maybe higher value growth, or perhaps we opened up with the travelers' expectations, maybe a better visitor experience. What other measures could you use?
Revenue is one.
Okay.
Uh, Revenue per traveler is another. We like to use the average spend per customer here in Greece. Sometimes our national bank counts that per day, which pretty much show us how much each traveler spends in Greece per day. And this usually happens when they leave the country. We do a border survey, and we ask them how much did you spend in Greece over this period, and how many days have you spent there. We've seen the evolution. The truth is that over the years, the average spend per customer per day has decreased. One reason, and probably the main reason this is happening, is that we had a lot of short-term rental rooms offered in the market. These are cheaper rooms of lower quality, and hence the overall spend has decreased. But in the hotel industry, we're doing great. We're investing over €1 billion a year in renewing and renovating our assets. And we represent approximately 55% of the GDP created from this sector.
When you look at the arrivals, right, the inbound side, and you said short-term rentals, so I was just wondering a little bit about that. Once someone enters, once a traveler or a visitor guest enters the country, um, any tracking of what the average length of stay in the country might be?
Yes.
Is it just the cruise ship comes in, the cruise ship goes out? Are people going to Athens? Are they going to Rhodes? Are they moving around?
Yes. So about Greece, we have approximately 37 million arrivals a year. They represent 23 billion of revenue, approximately. In Greece, our main industry is sea and sun leisure holidays. So 2/3 of the industry's revenue is represented in three prefectures: Crete, South Aegean, and Ionian Islands. These clients usually come here for a longer period of time, and they have an average length of stay that is approximately 7 days. The country's average, though, when you put into the mix the other prefectures, is 5.6 days, and it has been decreasing. It was 5.7 days a year before. There are a couple of reasons that this happens. First, we have a lot of people driving in the country from the Balkan countries, and usually people that drive and stay for a shorter period. Second is that we have a lot of city break holidays now in Athens, Salonika, which means that people usually stay 2-3 days there. And but the main reason is that holidays have become expensive, and Europeans traveling prefer to travel 3 or 4 times a year for a smaller period of time rather than 1-2 holidays for a longer period of time. So a bundle of reasons. I think the main reason is the last one.
Okay, okay, that's interesting. So more frequent trips, rests, breaks, vacations, just slightly shorter
Yeah.
length. So you think about places like Greece, you think of destinations. You mix in the cruise industry, right? The port of call types of situations. How about from a local standpoint? Do you see like the cities feeling any kind of pressure? The destinations, any pressure on like crowding or capacity limits, and what types of solutions, or are you hearing from the residents, and are you collaborating with them on ways to make sure that, hey, I always shop here on Thursday, and now it's mobbed. Look at all these tourists.
Yeah. So there are destinations that were built to accommodate hundreds of thousands of clients per day.
Okay.
Rhodes is an example of that. Corfu is an example of that. Crete also. Athens as well. And there are destinations that they're just beautiful. And because they are beautiful, with the necessary infrastructure, they accommodate tens of thousands of clients a day. Usually around the Cyclades, the famous islands, Santorini, Mykonos, Paros, and the rest, Ios, Naxos, Milos. These islands are very small islands and can accommodate tens of thousands of clients when they stay overnight. The problems begin usually when a lot of cruise ships arrive on the islands at the same time. So in Santorini, for example, you have some days that at the same peak time of the top day of the season, 20,000 people would like to disembark on a small port. And they go to the caldera through a teleferic, which is getting horrible experience. And the next day, there's absolutely no one approaching the island. So literally, it's just bad management of tourist flows and nothing more. If all these cruise ships could spread their visits over a longer period of time, it would be a lot easier for the customers. Don't forget that, for a cruise traveler going from an island to another island, it's surely a very easy way to experience and get a glance of what's going on each island, but you don't really understand the local feel, the feel of the vibe of the island. And for the businesses there, I think it's not fantastic, right? So if somebody comes, disembarks, puts a lot of pressure on the infrastructure, and then goes with a bottle of water, then I'm not sure that the visit pays back the cost. And there's some negative externalities there that should be compensated in a way or another for the locals. So two things. First, we would like better flow management. And second, when people approach and don't spend, then I think that locals should be compensated for the infrastructure.
That's an interesting. It's kind of like you could, if you were to collaborate, the local community government ruling body or any role the federation might play in something like that. You have some sort of like accounting or settling up with the cruise ships that would come in or the companies that own them and say, okay, you had X amount of, look how many people you brought on, right? From a capacity limit, from a sustainability standpoint. And here's our tax filing. Here's what that visit supported. And maybe if they were like minimum levels or
Mm.
something like that, there could then be some sort of, well, that was less than expectations. The people
There
that,
is
you
there is
know,
a tax now, so there is a tax.
okay.
Santorini and Mykonos enforced a tax, limited amount of I think $10 or something like that per visit, which is surely a move forward. Then the Greek state has to give a third of that to the port authorities, a third of that to the local authorities, and a third of that to tourism infrastructure in general. And it's a good move, but still, uh, obviously there are some value added cruise approaches. Very good clients that stay long, they spend, and there's some that they just come, they don't even buy a bottle of
Yeah.
water, they leave their trash and they leave. So not all cruise ships are the same. For some islands that are very, very famous, I'm not sure that cruise ships are always a positive, let's say, addition to their tourist mix for the locals, obviously. Yeah?
Okay. No, that's an interesting spot because again, you would hope that the inflow, right, would support the local community, help sustain it, help it grow, help make its the needed improvements and the like. But yeah, but that certainly falls under operations and even really good governance, right?
But
When you
Glenn, yes, it's not the fault of a private shipping companies alone. I mean, the state and especially the municipality have a lot of, fault because they are the ones that should give permissions to approach and then manage the flows correctly. And you can have 20,000 customers in and manage them perfectly, and then 20,000 customers and create a disaster. It's all matter of being
yeah, yeah.
responsible in managing a destination. There have been some attempts uh, from the Ministry of Tourism, and I should acknowledge the hard work the current tourist minister is playing in creating destination management and marketing organizations, the MMOs, to better, avoid this sort of over crowdance, overcrowding over a very short period of time. And the current legislating environment is making it a little bit difficult to speed this the creation of these organizations now. But looking forward, I'm sure that we'll see better days in this
Okay.
direction.
Well, again, it's certainly something that just to keep in mind as you think of, right? Because there's always you think that oh, your general perception often is, oh, this is great. There's good crowds coming. But then if it's if they're all coming at 9 a.m., right?
Yeah, of a
First,
Saturday.
yeah, on a Saturday, right?
Yeah,
And then you come back and you do the final accounting, and all you got is filled up trash cans and not a whole lot of else. That's something to certainly keep in mind. But How about what's the Federation seeing, Yanni, on the workforce side?
Mm.
The people that are helping shape those experiences, the talent, right?
Yeah.
What kind of trends are you seeing there? Ups and downs, any kind of constraints happening? Is are there training initiatives from a quality standpoint? What's the workforce that the Federation's been experiencing in some of the properties?
So our federation is a union, Glenn, right? It's a union representing the hotel owners of our country. But we signed the biggest collective agreement in our country. So the collective agreement we signed represent around 250,000 people, and for similar jobs in different industries, we pay a lot more money to our employees. So from a social point of view, I think we're doing a lot to kind of create good quality, good paying jobs in the Greek hospitality industry, higher than the average country salary, of course, and a lot higher than the minimum wage. So given the fact that a solid proportion of our employees are employees with low, how do you say, anyway, and I lost the English word for that. Anyway, there are people with not many
The earning potential is not as high.
not that they don't have a very qualified job. It's not a very they don't need a very high qualification in
Okay.
order to
Okay.
perform that job. So
Okay.
they're,
Skills. The
they're
skills are different. Okay.
yeah, skills. Yes, this is it. So the skill set required to do part of the hotel work is not very high, and given that fact, we pay them very well,
Okay.
which is something we're proud of. We also invest a lot in jobs that require higher skills, so that they're better paying, especially in technology, marketing, sales, and that sort of things. And it has been changing. Moreover, I told you the other time we discussed that the average hotel company is 47 rooms, and thus the owners work in the properties. And there we're trying to do seminars online with important players in the global training market to kind of create a knowledge platform for them to better themselves. And we try to engage everyone to provide free skill, uh, free courses of skills upgrade for the staff, so that we can actually improve our general quality in terms of service. Having said that, Greece scores highest in guest satisfaction from staff from all our close competitors. So Spain, Italy, France, Turkey, Egypt, uh, Portugal, all of them. We score the highest. So we're doing a good, I think we're doing good work when it comes to our stuff. Now, there is a general global trend that, okay, replacing jobs gone is very difficult, and unemployment rates are very low as well. Uh, I was I was hearing the prime minister a couple of days ago. He said that unemployment rates to in people below 30 years old have decreased from 40% 10 years ago to 12% now.
Wow.
So something along these lines, but the decrease is huge. And all of these people, usually start, they can start while they study, they can work in hotels in the summer, and they usually ease the peak season. But now it's very hard to find. Anyway, it's important though to underline that Greece has a very strong hotel industry, though since 2015, only 19% of the staff that actually got a job after that date went to hospitality, which kind of breaks down the narrative that Greece is all about restaurants and hotels. No, we have a very strong production now. We export a lot more than we used to export. Exports of goods in Greece have increased with a higher rate than export of services, which is great for our economy. And they compete for stuff as well, right? So
Sure, sure. Well, you're less, it's you're the countrywide a little bit less dependent on just a industry and being strong across the board, then everybody typically would win. Interesting you said on the 47 rooms, right? And
yeah,
the owner and
I
the
told you 74 last year. It was my bad.
well, yeah, you went backwards. That's all right.
Yeah,
47, but okay, the owners are in the properties, right?
yeah, they run the properties.
Imagine you're in Washington D.C. and you would and Mr. Marriott would walk by, right? Be kind of interesting
Yeah,
if that was to happen, right? So it's really hands-on. From a training standpoint, as a federation or as the industry, you would hope that right you're all in this together, right? And there'd be a
yeah,
sharing of best practices, new technology, innovations, and things like that. What are you seeing in this particular area or that particular area? And then everybody kind of wins, right? Because then
yeah.
the industry,
And I think our general quality level is high because of that. The owners are there. They
yeah,
meet the customers. You meet Mr. Marriott every day. He greets you. He
that's
serves you
right.
coffee. And I think people, they miss this authenticity when they travel these days. And I
Yeah.
think Greece provides that,
Long,
especially in
long,
the less touristic areas, right?
long time ago, we were in Santiago, Chile, and we stayed in the Hotel Don Tito. And
Okay.
sure enough, the Don was there.
Yeah, there you go.
And it was like, well, this is pretty good. He's right there. He's making sure everything's okay. With the talent and the workforce, um, every conversation you have to ask this, right? And any artificial intelligence types of uh wins, losses, challenges.
So,
I
Glenn, I told you, yeah, our industry, uh, the majority of first line staff are low skilled workers, right? So,
yeah,
uh, this is extremely difficult to replace at that particular point of time. Uh, Robots are coming. We see Mr. Musk investing in all these androids, and also in China there have been some hotels that slowly start to use technology to replace housekeepers, for example. But I think we're very far from
okay,
this uh, evolution in the industry. I think decades away.
okay,
Though
okay.
artificial intelligence has started shaping the way we sell and the way administration offices are working.
Makes sense.
So we've seen some beautiful things happening there. Okay, our job is becoming easier, more professional. I don't think positions are becoming obsolete. I think they just change the nature of their work, more productivity, more space for higher skill employees, which means that higher salaries are getting higher. And yeah, that's it. Also,
Okay,
a big
makes
part
sense.
of hotels is construction.
Yeah,
I'm not sure, we can do a lot of construction work in Greece now with robots yet.
yeah, yeah.
So in the future, let's hope that people will have better paying jobs with more skill, and we can replace some boring jobs with robots.
Yeah. Or again, just using it as a way of maybe being more productive or
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
efficiency. Again, if you've got the owner in the hotel, then perhaps some of the things that perhaps maybe they would have oversighted can now be automated. It gets them in front of customer again, gets them in the main lobby, gets them in the restaurant, right? Walking about. Now you mentioned, Yanni, you mentioned construction. Um, Any trends in uh, sustainability or energy upgrades,
Yeah.
new construction, renovations? What's the Federation seeing?
Let me do a very small comment about AI. I had a board meeting this morning in my corporation, and I was discussing with my partner that the biggest change we've seen, but didn't realize, is the fact that language barriers are obsolete. Nowadays, translations are so easy, real-time translations that people
Yeah,
travel and they find it very easy to communicate
yeah.
in their
They,
language.
they they go like this, and all of a
Yeah,
sudden,
they go like
and
this.
all of a
Yes.
sudden it comes back, right? And they,
Yeah. So let's go back to. Can you come back with a question?
yeah, yeah.
What
No,
was
it was. You mentioned construction, so I was curious if the Federation's seeing any kind of trends in energy
sustainability?
upgrades,
Yeah.
sustainability, new builds, renovations, things like that.
So most of the investors in the hotel industry in Greece are locals, right?
Okay,
We've
yeah,
seen some international investment, but we are still the biggest players. Greece is not very big with brands, so you don't get to see a lot of Marriotts and Hiltons around. So you've got some, but they're a very small proportion of our 10,500 hotels. And we live in the destinations. So sustainability is not about our investments, but it's about
yeah.
our lives, the air we breathe, and the
I
sea
like that. Yeah,
our daughters and sons use. So it's core to and it's foundational for our federation as well. The problem we usually see is that we have been cooperating with UK international tour operators, German, Scandinavians, countries that are very much ahead of the average country in green practices, in sustainability practices, in waste management, in food management, food waste, and all of these. And hence, our product is and has been very much adjusted to our customers. And we've done a lot. This is a truth, Glenn. The last 15 years, we have done a lot. We are way past the other industries in sustainability practices, energy efficiency, food waste, waste management, etc., water management, and taking advantage of solar energy and wind energy and all of these things. And our carbon emissions have been decreasing very much. We have goals to decrease our carbon emissions by 30% by 2030 in Greece. And 98% of the hotels are already there.
that's great. That's great.
The thing is that the global markets are driving away from, the save the environment at all costs, and they are revisiting the drill baby, boost the economies kind of approach. And I don't see the other industries in our country running as fast as we do.
Okay.
So I'd like to see more of sustainability happening in the investment process of other industries before we start again moving to this direction, because I think we are creating some competitive issues now by over investing in this direction, having all of the industries staying behind, so we're not really getting closer to the goal.
Well,
It makes sense.
it does, because that always happens, certainly in this particular area where, if everybody doesn't pull together, then even though you may
Yeah.
be nailing it, sometimes the overall amounts or totals or whatever you might be measuring doesn't necessarily move as much as you expect. Or if you can't,
And Glenn, Greece is a small country.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
and but we breathe the same air and we use the same sea as the Turkish non-EU country on the other side of the sea. Like I have my house and I see the Turkish mountains snowed just out of my window. So,
That's a great
if
view.
we do, yeah, it is a great view. But when we use a lot of money to protect our environment and our neighbors don't, then, the sea's polluted.
Yeah.
It's
Well, like
not
you
there's
said,
nothing you
from
can do.
at least certainly from an industry standpoint, you're living the sustainability because it's your community, right?
Yeah, that's it.
It's the federation's your properties inside
That's what it is.
your communities and destination spots. So it's so you're living what you believe, which is just great. Well, Yanni, before we wrap up, just maybe one last kind of comment or from you, maybe if you can. If you look at Greek hospitality in general, right? Or just reflecting on where you've been and uh but where you looking ahead, right? Thinking about the future. What might be a phrase, a creed, a credo that perhaps the industry would take or could raise, right? Along those lines and how could you get those perhaps more standardized, right? To have everyone kind of believe in it, right? Is there any particular key that you would look to or kind of motto or mission that perhaps would make sense for the Federation and the industry in general?
So I would say, Glenn, that the biggest challenge, let's say, uh, hotel companies in Greece face now is generation shift.
Okay.
So there are some legacy investments that now go from the first, second generation, second to third generation. Families are getting bigger. So governance is key, right? Governance is key. And we are trying to underline governance and try to boost our members to use strict governance policies, even if they're small corporations, right?
Yeah.
So from a governance point of view, I would say that this is key, and this is the phrase I would use. More than that, yeah, Greece is a beautiful country. I think demand will be there. I invest heavily myself because I really believe in that industry. The other thing I would underline is that in Greece we usually have owner operators, right? So
Yes.
this is
Yes.
not the way the world works anymore. So you have real estate owners and operators.
Right.
I think we will see that changing in the next couple of years because efficiency cannot be at its peak on all industries under the same corporate umbrella very easily. So I think people that do real estate better will be focusing in buying hotels, and people that run properties better will be running hotels.
Well, generational governance and that next family member that steps up, you've got such a legacy to protect, right?
Yeah, we do, huh?
And you got a legacy and you've got an industry that continues to need to grow. And again, I'm a big believer in you have to know where you come from to know where you're going. So
Yeah.
don't discount those first or second generations. They had a pretty good plan and they did a pretty good job with it here for
Wow.
that.
Yeah. We owe everything to the first and the
Yeah.
second generation. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
The whole
Yeah.
idea is, though, that the literacy of wealth planning in Greece is not very high. And the truth is that, according to Ernst and Young, 13% of corporations survive the third generation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
not having literate people that hang over, companies to a generation that might have a wrong understanding of how governance work might be a disastrous recipe for the next generation.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
you look back on how many on these generations, how many people have actually been part of the property and worked in the property, and when they
yeah.
were a kid, they did these roles, and now here they are as the adult, and they're in the front end or in the management side, right? They're quote unquote learning the business, right? You gotta protect that legacy for sure,
You
without
do.
without a doubt. Well, listen, Yanni, thanks as always for joining us.
Yeah, it's my
Excellent,
pleasure.
excellent commentary. We wish you and the Federation nothing but
Yes.
success going forward. Thanks for joining us here on One Tourism World. We look forward to your continued success and contributions. And if we can be of any help to you, please don't hesitate to
We're
reach.
looking forward to welcoming you in Greece, huh?
All right. Well, my partner is all about roads, so we will
Yeah, yeah,
see
yeah. I'm
hopefully
sure our
shortly.
common friend can help you with that.
That's right. All right. Have a good day. Nice weekend. Thank you.
You too. Bye.
All right. Take care. Bye.